it's good to see you, my dad. I am so glad to welcome you to our interview today. And,
okay.
I just have a couple of questions. So one of the things that we have is working with the financial fitness program. Now, you haven't actually done the financial fitness program with us, but I want to work through some of the learnings that you've had through financial literacy. So understanding throughout your time and experience and what you have done. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I don't know. I've worked all my life and
Yep.
had
So what
children.
sort of professions have you had through your life?
Okay. I started off cutting cane at 16. Then I went ring barking with my uncle, and then I got a job in the main roads for about 6 years. Then I moved to irrigation scheme in Emerald for another 4 years. And I went farming for, I don't know, 16, 17 years. Love farming. I farmed for a lot more. I was growing hay and everything, but I got a job in the mines when I was 45, and worked there for 20 odd years, bit over 20 years, and retired 3 years ago.
Yeah. And I know that you've been working through investments and using that money really well, because one of the principles in our program is being a good steward of that money and then making that money grow, making it through investments compound so that you have more money.
Yeah.
So you've retired now, and I do know that you are working with shares.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about why you chose shares. What is it about that attracted you as an investment?
Okay. When I was working in the mines, I got friendly with the guy that was working in the mines, and he was buying shares and investing and things like that. And I started doing that. Then the company I worked for, which was Rio Tinto, and then they brought in a scheme where you could put so much money aside and buy shares every year. Okay.
And so like an employee benefit type thing.
Employees benefits, yeah. It was a good scheme. It was, and I did that for about 15 years. About 14 years, I think it was. And so I built up a good little nest egg there. And then when I finished work, I've been dabbling in shares, yes. Not doing a lot, but I'm still dabbling in them. Yeah.
And why have you found that investment, that continuing dabbling, is helping in your family income and looking after your retirement? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think some time in your life you will find that you look forward instead of living today, so you look forward to, okay, I'm going to retire. What do I need? How am I going to live? And all that sort of stuff. So, you start putting money away for that, because if you notice, everything increases in price every year.
Definitely.
So you've got to accommodate for that. So you've got to have a 2% or a 5% increase every year to compensate for that.
Yeah, just to keep up with inflation.
To keep up with, what's ahead of you, yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. And, it's working for me.
Yeah. I love that. That is awesome. And I'm sure that a lot of our viewers will love that too, because so many of them are working towards this. They're getting out of survival mode. We're working to make sure that we are starting to plan for that nest egg and that it's actually compounding. Because even now I hear, it used to be you've got to make sure you've got $1 million in cash type thing for your retirement, but now it's more like $2.5 million to live comfortably on an income with a lifestyle that is comfortable.
Yeah. You know, your super's all right. You know, you got to look at your super also. And I didn't know at the time, but I found out the last 10 years that you can add to your super. So if you're saving money and you can actually put so much more into your super if you want to.
Yep.
So that builds a bigger nest egg too, you know.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, so something you got to look at also. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that when I was doing it. Otherwise, I'd have done that too.
Yeah. Yep.
You know. Yeah.
And making that money work for you, so that you've got those compounding, those snowball that gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes. It's like buying shares with a reinvestment scheme. Okay, so your dividends go back into buying more shares.
Yep.
Okay, so if you don't need the money, let it accumulate, you know. Yeah, that's what I've done. Yeah.
And then with that then, because I know there's quite a few people that have been watching the share market and some volatility. When you're doing your investing and you're working with the stock market, how do you weather the changes that happen in the stock market?
Okay, it's pretty hard to predict the stock market because, you know, like we had Corona, bang, it dropped, just fell out of the bloody sky. But it's hard to predict what it is. What I'm doing with my shares is I'm just holding them longer, and I'm getting the dividends off them. So there's an income coming off them. So the secret is to buy shares that you can get dividends off. That's what I find, and hold them a bit longer.
Yep.
You know, so I cannot predict the stock market. I've done all the big cycles and everything else. I know there's an 18-year cycle. I know there's a 50-year cycle. The big cycles, like we're just going through now, is a 100-year cycle. Okay, so there's big cycles. I've got a mate that really went crazy on cycles, and he still doesn't understand it. So he's a lot better than me in cycles, but he doesn't understand it neither. But all that we work on is the little cycles. You know, we've got a 6-monthly cycle. You believe it's every 6 months it cycles, and you got weekly cycles. You got daily cycles. You know, you got a lot of cycles there. But when a big cycle comes up, like the Corona or the American presidency and all that, you know, it affects all the influences. So, you know, you've got to kind of, it's hard to understand. I cannot understand it. Okay, so, yeah.
But buying and holding is a very effective strategy for income protection and to have that continual income coming back to you.
It works for me, yes.
Yeah. And that's a good thing because, some of my friends are all about, come on, just the short game. We just want in and out. We want to, you know, make our money and come out. And it works for them. But, you know, different things for different people and how they're benefiting from the stock market. I'm a big fan of buy and hold because it's about having those assets working for you, that money compounding.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Generating income. Yeah.
Yep.
No, lovely.
Yep.
And I know that you encourage strongly for your children to learn these things. So tell me a little bit about that. How many children do you have?
I have 7 girls.
That'll keep you busy, my dad.
Yes. I'm encouraging my daughters to look to the future, have a saving account and save money, buy stocks or put it into their super, you know, for the future. Yes, don't touch it.
Yep.
Yes, that's what I encourage. But whether they listen to me or not is nothing.
The joys of free will. And I know, my dad, you have plenty of free will daughters.
Yes, no, there's a couple that's really looking good. So I'm happy with them. You know, I'm looking at one now, so, you know, they're out there doing it, you know.
And it is important because I know for my children too, teaching them to take care of their future and investing in themselves is an important thing.
Yes, it is important.
And it is, and that's one of our financial fitness program principles. Out of the 47 principles, one of them is teach your children how to save the money. And yeah, it's important to have that for the future. So
it is, yes.
Because our children will be paying off the debts of today. The government has insured that, and it's going to be very scary. I know for me, like my generation still think about the pension. I know when I finally get there, it won't be there. I won't have that as an option, and it'll be my super only and whatever assets that I have to continue my security in the cycle. When I hate to think about what it'll be like for my children when they get there, the cycles and the internet and the access to information is changing so fast.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you'd like to offer about financial literacy, the importance of it for you and your family?
It's just about thinking about it. It's got to be part of your process in getting old. I think, when you're young, you don't think of anything like that. The older you get, you start thinking about, what's the future, and the future is unknown, as you know. You just got to start thinking about it and put things in place. For it, yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, my dad. I really appreciate it, and I love you heaps.
You're welcome, daughter.